Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday night live stream. This will be kind of a quick one because as far as like the news and what's happening in the day, I think it really comes down to really rate cuts, and more rate cuts. Everybody talked about this, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But the big takeaways that I heard for the Jerome Powell speech was this, which was, you know, he came out and said, I think we're right to wait. I think we were right to wait. I think that's very debatable. Now, if you're unfamiliar, which I doubt very much, the Federal Reserve today cut by 25 basis points. There are two more meetings left. There's one in November, one in December. So we'll see where things take us, but it's looking like everything's pretty much priced in, at least for this one. And we'll probably get 25 basis points in November and 25 basis points in December, and that's very boring, but it is what it is. And I still say Q4 is going to be good, and I'm going to show you why. He also did say that supply and demand have come down sharply, and what he's talking about is the labor market. And I wonder if this is, he's talking about supply and demand have come down. So we have organizations that don't have the jobs there, and then the demand for people that actually want jobs are gone. That's what it seems like as far as like initial claims. But I wonder how much of that has to do with just layoffs because of because of tariffs, potentially. I think these companies, maybe they're like, we don't know what's going to happen, so we don't want to hire too many people. Or if it's that plus a little bit of AI in the background as people are getting laid off, just look no further than Microsoft as their mass layoffs recently. Or if it's something else. It is interesting to see him talk about that because they have a dual mandate, and one of those is to keep the economy flowing, and he's not done a great job of that. Now, as far as like inflation, hey, it's not at 10%. So congratulations, Jerome Powell. He says there was not widespread support for a 50 basis point cut today. And I thought that was interesting. Maybe under commissioners or governors said themselves, hey, maybe we should do a 50 basis point cut. And maybe they argued about it, talked about it, but I guess the 25 basis point went out today. But what would have happened if we would have got 50 basis points? The market would have exploded. Now, some people might have said, oh, well, that would have triggered people saying, well, the economy in America is horrible because of these 50 basis points. I disagree. I think what would happen is probably have somebody on that side say it, but those guys will just get stuffed down because we can talk about just how great rate cuts are. And of course, the market explodes and everybody else will just say, just shut up, Bear, we don't want to hear you. And lastly, the committee will continue reducing its holdings of Treasury securities and agency debt and agency mortgage-backed securities, meaning quantitative tightening will continue. So that's essentially what it is in a nutshell for that. And because of that, the dollar strength went up just a little bit. It cratered today when the announcement, then it came right back up. However, the DXY, the dollar index, has been sucking wind for quite some time. This is 1 month. It's down almost a point. 6 months, it's down 6%. Year to date, it's down 10%. Imagine that, the dollar that low. I think we're down around 97. Well, we were at 96, 97. So again, when the dollar index goes down, usually Bitcoin goes up. S&P 500 was down just a skosh, not too much. But look at our market. First of all, this is the total market cap. I don't know if you guys realize this, but we were incredibly close to a market cap all-time high. The market cap all-time high was on August 13th of 4.2 trillion. You know, today we were at $4.15 trillion. That's pretty close. I know people were kind of ticked off. They're like, hey, we got a rate cut. Why isn't my altcoin 10xing already? We've talked about this. It doesn't really happen like that. It takes time. And I have always said Q4 is going to be big. And if we just look at today's numbers, I'm happy. I think we should all be happy. Look at this. I mean, Bitcoin's down a little bit. I wonder what Bitcoin dominance is. That'd be interesting. But look at Ethereum. In 24 hours, up almost 2%. XRP, 1%. Tether, nobody cares. BNB, 3%. Solana, 3%. Doge. These are all the stuff I own. This is great. So I'm a little biased, but I'm feeling pretty good today. Look at that. Hyperliquid up 6%. Very nice. And these are looking good, which leads me to the point I want to talk about today, which is September. Now, September, historically speaking, we've talked about this many, many times, is a kind of a bad month, not just for the crypto market, but for traditional markets as well. And there is one thing to note that if we take a look at all the months, you can see that the months that are, great, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, historically speaking, are usually green. Then August and September, not the greatest, but not too bad. But then look at October, November, December, usually great. And what I'd like to show you is that September, we're almost at, and this is just looking at Bitcoin, mind you. I'm going to show you the total market cap of crypto in a second. We're almost at 8%. Now it's fluctuating, obviously, and today's the 17th. We still got a little ways to go, but this September's looking pretty good. And if we go back 2 years to a green September, and just pay attention to all the green Septembers. When you have a green September, like last year, you had a great October, a great November, and a little down in December. But look at that, 37% up in November. Would everybody be okay with that? I think so. 2023, September was actually green, which usually it's not. It was up 4%. What happened? October, up 28%. November, almost 9%. And December, almost 12%. Then you had a boatload of red months. Well, let's go back to 2016. You had a green September. Hallelujah. You were at 7.4%. October was 18%. November, 3%. And then December, 32% high. That's great. And in 2015, another green September, 4.6%. October, 36%. November, almost 12%. And December, almost 20%. And then lastly, I'll say that 2010, which was, actually, no, I did that back. 2010 was not it. The only buck of the trend was 2012, where we had a green September of 15%, and we had one red month the next month, but then we had two greens at 13 and 7. So like I've said before, I still think Q4 is going to be pretty big. It's just the timing and just sitting around and waiting for it. And I mean, we've got a lot of tailwinds like we talked about. We have a lot of legal clarity. We have an administration that is pushing forth Bitcoin, true, but mostly stable coins in their own agenda. We have ETF and institutions gobbling things up. Now, these are all great, and this is fantastic. I think this would be good. Oh, also, well, we need to talk about the entire market. So let me take this metric, and I'm going to show you how it looks for not just Bitcoin, but the total market cap. It's the same thing, but just higher numbers. So again, because people will say, well, that's just Bitcoin. I care about my altcoins. I don't blame you. So look at this. September right now, we're at 8.5%. October, November, December, probably pretty good. Last year, we had a green September for all the total market cap, including Bitcoin and all altcoins. You were up 7, 5, and 44. And then, of course, December, a little bit of a tumble. And then in 2023, green September, 18, 11, and 15 over the next 3 months. Then we had a bunch of red months, or excuse me, red years in September. And then 2016, same thing. We had a green September, and we had green October, November, December. And then we go down to 2013, we had a green September, and then 2 months, then a green September in 2012, and we had 1 bad month and 2 great months. And then all the way back to 2010, we had a green September, and we had these massive, huge months. So I just want to show you what it looks like with Bitcoin and with the total market cap. Things look pretty good. However, I'm not here to tell you that everything is going to be awesome, because it's going to be tough at some point. And here's why. This is an article about Ethereum and how much is being unstaked. I just want to show you an image which will kind of bring this point home, which is this. This is the validator queue going back to May of 2023. And we can see that what is happening here, see that big, I guess some people might call that well, some might call it a big God candle, but it's not. This is everybody unstaking their Ethereum and waiting the 44 days so they can dump it. And I'm not going to say dump anymore. I'll get to that in a second. Ethereum unstaking queue goes parabolic. What does it mean for price? So like a significant portion of the almost 12 billion ETH awaiting withdrawal may be sold to lock in profits. I can see that. Ethereum's exit queue surpassed 2.6 million ETH, worth $12 billion. This marked the largest amount of Ether ever set for withdrawal by network validators. And 29.4% of the total ETH supply is staked, or around 35 million. So let's break that down real quick. You've got 2.6 million ETH being unstaked, meaning people are probably going to hand it off or unload it or dump it, whatever you want to call it. But almost 30% of the ETH is being staked. So, or excuse me, 35 million ETH. So you take 2.6 minus 35.6. Let me do some quick math here. So we're looking at 33 million ETH still being staked, not too bad. If they're going to sell $12 billion, the market cap, just so you know, of Ethereum is roughly $500 billion. So will this be the most awful thing of all time? No, but there will be sell pressure, and that's just pretty much how it goes. And I was talking to a friend of mine here in Puerto Rico. He is a XRP Whale, and he's been around for a while. The people that he talks to in his group have been around for even longer than him. And he's just told me, he goes, man, people are just tired. They're just tired of watching the charts, of doing all these things, of going with the ups and downs. And he's like, from what he hears, he's like, yeah, you know, once we hit these certain price points, and they're not high price points, I'm not going to tell you what those are. Maybe I will later. But he's like, they're just going to dump everything, or they're going to dump a big portion of it. I think a lot of people are doing it because we're going into Q4. And I just want to get a consensus for everybody. How do you feel about this time around? I know most of you have been here since 2021. Some of you have been here, like I have, since 2017. Is it just getting tired? Are you getting tired of this go around? Just curious. And then I will say that if you're going to what I call the great altcoin handoff, that is what it is. On this channel, I've said many a time about how I'm going to dump on you, and I'm going to, if you take profits, nobody ever went broke taking profits. I would say, hey, if you don't take profit, just remember I will dump on you. But I've thought about that. It's not a really great way to put things, and really it's kind of unfair to say it like that, because if you think about it, all of us, every single one of us, well, most of us, have been buying in the bear market, have we not? We bought in the bear market like crazy. We threw sand in the ocean like we talk about. And people called us, that's ridiculous. Why are you investing into internet nerd money? This is not going to work out. This is all a scam. There's this guy named Gary Gensler. He talks about it all the time. SBF was a scam. Voyager was a scam. Celsius was a scam. Shinsky was a scam. It's all a scam, blah, 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 blah. Of course, they can't differentiate between these two things. And as we've done that, we pretty much held these big fat bags for a long time. And it's not just Bitcoin that we've done it with. Bitcoin's gonna be fine, I think. But it's for some of these altcoins, we've carried these bags for quite a long time. And we have stress and everything else that comes along with carrying these bags. I feel like we laid the foundation. It's like building a house. You got to go out there, and somebody's got to be responsible for the excavation. Someone has to pour the slab. Someone has to do the measurements. Someone has to lay the plumbing, pay the electricity, and make sure that everything is in and set so it can be built up. So every single one of us, we were early, and we've done this. Now, if you want to sell, it's not dumping on somebody, it's handing off. Do we hand off, or do we dump on somebody who's building a house? No. We're like, look, we laid the foundation, Jack. We did as much as we possibly could. Now it's time for your part. I'm going to put these bags down, and if you pick them up, it's up to you. And I think that's what's coming in Q4 as people start to sell off. But it could be wrong. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section. And lastly, my friend Bobby's bet didn't pay off. This is the Fed decision in September. My friend Bobby went for 50 basis points. I thought it would be 50 basis points, and he lost $250. So just know that if you're going to gamble, like some of these that we're doing on altcoins, it is gambling. Now, Polymarket is a fun place to do this at, but it's all gambling. But just remember, take profits along the way, because nobody ever went broke taking profits, and that's it for today. So look, like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. When we talk about it's time sensitive. Now let's do a little Q&A and show your questions, and we'll go from there. Let's see. And truth's sake is right. ETH has been here for a long time. It is tested, and it's battle tested, and it works. It just does. And I know people say, but it's slow and it's expensive. Yeah, but you know what? I think a lot of these big, larger companies, I think Robinhood looked at that and said, you know what? We don't want to have anything get hacked or everything kind of go down. And we're going to put this in Arbitrum, which is a layer 2 solution. And we just want to make sure that it's compliant and that it's battle tested and we can actually use it, not to worry too much about it, because we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves, and just make sure this thing works. And they looked at that one and said, we're going to go with that. And I think that's what a lot of companies are going to do. It's like in the 90s or 80s and 90s when all these companies started to put in Microsoft. Nobody ever got fired for putting Microsoft on there and buying these computers, because they're like, well, it's kind of like the industry standard. Yeah, it sucks, and yeah, it's slow. It's not the greatest. I'm sure there's a cheaper option out there, but no one's getting fired for that. So I think truth's sake is right. And Ethereum seems to be the winner at this point on that part. There's other ones that I think will do pretty well. Like, we know the big four that I talk about as far as like stable coins: ETH, Tron, Solana, Binance Smart Chain, Arbitrum, little SWI in there, a little Hyperliquid, stuff like that. Yeah, why not? And not too late says, Rob, we truly are early. I was at a retirement meeting at work and I asked if they offered Bitcoin ETF access yet, and every single one of my coworkers laughed at me except for one guy. Exactly. I just did a recording with Matt Crosby, who's the lead analyst over at Bitcoin Magazine Pro. This is our follow-up video that we did together. Smart guy, went through a lot of charts, and he's pretty much just saying, like, look, this is, when people say this time is different, he's like, I don't see anything as different. It's the same thing repeating over and over again. And he said, and we went over it again, and he gave me some good indicators I'm going to share with you guys on Saturday. And it was a great session. So like when we talked about this, there was another video that I had watched, and it was with Anthony Pompliano. And I forgot the guy's name that was on there, but he was another analyst, not a CoinGlass, Glassnode. And he was talking about, he said, you know, everything's gonna be different. He says, but he goes, think of it this way: how many of your friends and family and loved ones, and he was talking to Pomp, and he says, how many of these people have actually you've been able to convert into Bitcoin? Out of all the people that you've talked to, how many people did it take? He goes, I bet you can count them on your hand. And he goes, and I bet you talked to a lot of people. Now think about that too. For us, how many have we talked to try to convert? Which I don't do that anymore whatsoever. How many have we done? How many have actually stuck with it? Very, very few. So when Michael Saylor's up here and going, well, these companies and these digital asset treasuries, and this is going to do great, Bitcoin's going to do great for a long time. But these altcoins, I'm telling you, if Bitcoin, you know, starts to sneeze, they catch the flu. And it's like traditional markets go down 2%, 5%, 10%. Then you start to see Bitcoin slide 30, 40%. Then you start to see altcoins go 70, 80, 90, 99%. So good luck with those types of things. Rob, my altcoins are moving. Has Ben lost his touch? Yeah, Ben lost it. No, I think what it comes down to is that on some of these altcoins, and I think some of these solid plays, right? Like the ones that we just talked about. And then, you know, for me, there's a big push for AI. And that's why I've been big into Aether. I mean, it's up like 200%. No, it's not 200%. In the last month, well, yeah, it's up like 100% in like the last month, Aether. And Aether is just one of those, it's one of those AI compute plays, you know, where you have warehouses with GPUs, and essentially what they do is they just say, hey, if you don't have that much, or if you're not maximizing your compute power, we need compute globally, so we'll pay you for it. And that's pretty much what they do. And I've been investing in that for over a year now, and it works out okay. So Daniel, for you, like to say, like, my altcoins are moving. At some point, they're all going to move, and they're all going to move up. And even my portfolio is looking, it's like before it was like 80, 75% Bitcoin. And now because of the rapid appreciation of certain altcoins, it's catching up with Bitcoin. And now it's, you know, it's, I don't want to think it's 60-40. I think it's like 70-30 now. It is what it is. So yeah, at some point it's going to be. Hey, Dale. Yeah, been around a long time. Let's see. I've done near 30, but not really committed. What that is. Rusty says my altcoin goes down 98% in a bull market. Not this time, Rusty, because you, my friend, are going to hand off your altcoins to the next generation of investor, right? You're going to say, look, I did all the hard work. I laid the foundation. Very simple. Excavated, laid the foundation, put in the lines for the electricity and the plumbing. All you got to do is build up. There's the bags right over there. I put them down for you. You can pick them up. I've carried them way too long. Handing them off. Yeah, handeth off my bag. Exactly. Go hither and pick up those bags. Days away. Rob, did you dump your Avantis? Still buying. So the Avantis play was pretty good. And I heard this from a friend of the show, Wes, over at Smart Money Tracking. And it had just come out in the 9th. So we bought a little bit, and then when it doubled, we sold because that's the half and half method. And we put as much as we wanted to. Well, I put as much as I wanted into it. And now what I'm doing is just house money. And since I sold 50%, I just, you know, I think it's down now like 20%. But I don't really care because it's not my money. It's just the house money. So I haven't been buying anything else as far as like Avantis, just kind of waiting. And that's it. I could, but who knows? That's what I'm doing with this one. Future profit. Man, you seem sad. No, I'm pretty good. I had a good day. I live in Puerto Rico. It's a beautiful place. Running around for all the properties and fixing this and that for short-term renters. And yeah, it's a good life, man. Mohammed, are you still expecting a larger correction for Bitcoin for the next leg up? You know, I think that's more like Ben and Guy's territory as far as like a big, large correction. Usually, you know, you see, if we're talking about Bitcoin dominance, we don't see a big correction. I think we start to see, actually, no, that could be true. Historically speaking, I think we see a correction and then just kind of starts to trend upwards. I'm not really too worried about it because if you just take a look at the Q4 of every single time that September has been pretty good and the post-halving years, Q4 is historically speaking pretty good. Now, if we were on the cusp of something major like World War III, I'd be like, well, all bets are off. I think things are pretty good. Lucky asks, is 4-year cycle still valid? It is so far. And if it breaks down, then I'll be the first one to say I was wrong. But it's still in play. Soulbull says yes. Tommy says short-term rental is the way to go. It is, but you essentially buy yourself a job. So today, what was I doing? Let's see. I was fixing a PVC pipe that cracked. And then, of course, there was a sink that was flowing over. So you had to go fix that. And then, of course, there's always something with electricity, which you have to deal with. So yeah, like that is essentially real estate in a nutshell. It's great because it's cash flow. It's great because there are tax benefits. It's great because the asset appreciates and all that stuff. What's not so great is just dealing with the other things. Now, you can hire a property manager, and they're going to charge you between 12 and 20% revenue if you want to go down that route. But when I'm here in Puerto Rico, I like to do everything myself. So that's what I was doing today. Yeah, exactly. So obviously, when you're a landlord, you essentially become a parent. That is the truth. You're a parent, customer service rep, tech support, plumber, electrician. You get to do it all. Vatican. And this is a good point. Rob, I think Pepe is going to start the bull run. Pepe will flip Shiba. Well, should. Also, I need to would everybody remind me to do this? Is that we get so caught up in talking about Q4 and sell-offs, and we think about our spot positions, right? Like our spot position in whatever, calendar coin or whatever altcoin it is. So we think about doing that. But how many of us here have a Roth IRA with crypto in it that we need to sell and rebalance the portfolio? I'm one of those guys. And speaking of which, I actually have Pepe in my portfolio. Pepe is not going to be around for 20 years. Bitcoin is. So when we start to go up, and I'm going to do the videos when I'm saying, hey, I sold, X percentage of my portfolio, would somebody remind me if I forget that I need to actually sell inside my Roth IRA account and put that into the more, I guess, battle-tested and more proven digital assets, because that's what I need to do. And what's great about a Roth IRA doing that, which I use iTRUST, is that all the trading you do within your Roth IRA, it's tax exempt. Robbie, you hiring? I can live in the pool house for 6 months in one day. Not hiring. It's I got a pretty easy gig right now. Meme says my very first crypto transaction trying to move an altcoin was 1 BNB, which I apparently moved to the wrong chain and lost it. It was just under $300 at the time. Now it's over $1,000. Yeah. I didn't do the same thing, but kind of this. When Cardano first came out, I bought a bunch of them at like 3 cents or 2 cents or whatever it was, for like 20,000. And I put it into the Daedalus wallet, the first iteration of that before it went on its mainnet. And I forgot to transfer it over, and now it's stuck in some test wallet, something or other. So I lost 20,000 Cardano, which at the peak was like 60 grand when it was like $3 a pop. Huh. Yeah. So that's question. Can you sell within the Roth IRA without penalty? I thought it triggered a taxable event or a penalty for cash. No. We're not cashing out early. We're doing all the trades from within. So like when you sell within your Roth IRA, you're not taking out any not deductions, any cash equivalents. So you take that and you swap it into, for like, say, like Bitcoin, and that's it. So as long as it stays there, there is no penalty per se, and you can trade within your Roth IRA and not have any taxable events. And that's it. Yeah. Trick Shots is right. Chainlink's the most It's a funny thing. It's like some of these assets that have the most value seem to not do anything, and then you get stuff like Pepe, which does absolutely nothing. And I'm not mad. I own it, but it starts to pop off. So it'd be like this. Let's take a look at Chainlink. This always astounded me. So over 24 hours, it's up 2%. 7 days that's it. 1 month it's down 7%. 3 months is up, it's up 83 in 1 month, or 3 months. 126% in a year. And look at this. It was just flat for no reason. I do take that back. This one has actually done really well. I just don't have enough of this to really make a dent. I have some, but look at that, $11 just didn't do anything. And then we'll take a look at Pepe. Figure HELOC. Huh. So, okay. So Pepe is up 3%, 8% in 7 days, 6 in a month, 12% in 3 months, 1 year at 56, and then it's up 5,000%. Jeez, that's a lot. Just amazing to me. Just amazing to me. Mary from Chi-Town. Some dollar cost averaging in bull, is that true? Yeah, I mean, you can, like, I always look at my bank account and say the same thing. What is this money doing for me in this bank account right now? And if it's not really doing too much, then it's time to make it work for me. And I know that, well, if you look at the data, historically speaking, Q4 was doing pretty good, so why not just put that into other altcoin or Bitcoin digital assets, which is what I've been doing. which is why my bank account is anemic. Seth says, hey, Seth, just been all in crypto last week. Yeah. Satvia, Rob, which do you think will do better this bull run, Aether or Cardano? Probably Aether, and not because, you know, Aether's some awesome project, even though I think it's a good project as far as like compute and AI and the narratives there. It's just that to move Cardano in a massive fashion, it's very difficult because Cardano has a market cap of 33,236,544,000. So $33 billion, right? So when you want to double it, I mean, how much does that take? That takes a lot. It takes a lot of cash flow to go through. Aether is ranked 146. And as far as market cap, it's not even $1 billion. It's $789 million. So which could do better? Probably this lower one that has utility and is doing things. Also, they put out they do this like this weekly recap for Aether, where they talk about their earnings. July and August are record-breaking months for Aether, averaging 13 million in revenue. And they had 39 million in network revenue, which I thought was, I'm like, that's pretty good. When I thought about it, I'm like, okay, it's 13 million in revenue per month plus 39 million. Okay, it's not bad. But then I thought, but I mean, we're talking about $50 million. Well, I guess in roughly a year you could catch up because, again, the market cap is 789 million. So there's multiples of P&E. I mean, if you want to look at it like old-fashioned TradFi looks. But, I mean, it's better than a lot. I mean, take a look at some of these L1s. What kind of revenue are they pushing? Not much. Yeah. Dan says, can't go wrong with buying blue chip memes during bull run dips. Just don't buy the tops. Yeah, that's pretty good. Safia, you're welcome. Tell James he made a good call on Cardano. I mean, on Solana. Yeah, he did a good job. Ben's chair is here. That's awesome. I definitely, I feel like Sol is still well priced. Yeah. And I think it's going to do quite well. You know what I found interesting? I don't know if you guys ever watched the All In podcast. I think it's like, as they say, the #1 business podcast in the world. But their All In podcast, like they have this big event, and it's like one of their main banners or their main, I guess, fund of the event is the Solana Foundation. So it was interesting. I'm like, wow, I know these guys invested pretty heavy into it. Now they've got them investing. Then they got the foundation investing into them. Look at that. I was kidding about 100 billion. I know it. Pepe is the worst investment. I mean, return on investment speaking, it's actually pretty good. But it's, I mean, as far as like, what does it do? It doesn't do anything. Yeah. Krantz says, tokenomics aren't understood by most when going cheap, but I'm sure we all look for some multiple at a time. I look for multiple all the time. Mighty Max says, is there really no capital gains tax on Bitcoin now? Depends on where you live. Like I want to say Germany, I think it is. After like a year, you guys don't pay capital gains tax. I think that's what it is in Germany. And there's Portugal, 0. There's Dubai, 0 capital gains. Puerto Rico, 0 cap gains. A lot of provisions that you have to jump through and hoops, but it's there. But as far as like, if you live in the United States or Canada, most places, yeah, you've got capital gains tax on Bitcoin. Only if you sell it. If you move it from one wallet to another, that is not moving into another medium. So that's just a movement of the token, of the coin, I should say. So no, that's not it. And then if you put Bitcoin into like a stable coin, that is a taxable event. If you sell Bitcoin for dollars, it's a taxable event. If you swap Bitcoin for another type of crypto, that's a taxable event. So pretty much, yes, unless there's specific countries or if you just transfer it to another wallet. All right. Mohammed says, any alts in your watch list, Rob, waiting for good entry? Well, I mean, Avantis was a pretty good play. As far as like the low cap gems, I think Aether is as low as, not as low as I want to go. It's 146. I think Avantis is even lower than that. And there's another one, and we talked about this, KETA, K-E-E-T-A. It's very unproven, and it's going to have a mainnet launch. That's like probably the riskiest one I have. And it's got, you know, it always makes the same assumptions. Layer one, fastest thing of all time. But, you know, the ex-Google CEO is investing into it, and they've got some good listing partners. So we'll see. Ben's chair, what's the word on ton? I can tell you, if there's one project that just fumbled it, it was ton. I don't know how you have a social media platform that has over 980 million users, almost 1 billion users per month, and you can't get the adoption of the ton token. Now, of course, people will say if they use Telegram, like I use it all the time for this. Yeah, you might, but I'm just, and of course it is in the top 30, so that's pretty great, but I just thought it would do much better. Maybe it was because Pavel Durov was detained in France and was pretty much stuck in there. I don't know if he's still there or not. But yeah, ton, no real news on it, no real new big breaking information. I own some. I hope it goes up. That's about it. What if I lose everything in a gamble on Rollbit? How can I pay taxes and I not get anything? It's the same thing as like, this is why I harp on safety. Let's say, and this actually happened. Let's say you sell your business or you sell your property and you put it all into Bitcoin and or pick your favorite altcoin. And then you get hacked for everything. So what happens there? Well, there's a provision of how much you can take as a tax deduction per year. And like for us, for the Voyager and Celsius suckers who got pulled into that, it's like $3,000 a year. So there are many other provisions now, but like for something like that to happen, you owe capital gains tax on your business that you sold and or properties that you sold, but you just lost it all because you put it all into crypto. Now what do you do? This is why, like, I've said this once and I'll say it 1,000 more times. The best investors out there are the scammers because they didn't there's no skin in the game. They did really little effort. All they had to do was find a sucker like you to click on a stupid link or follow something because of greed or just because you're just unaware of how things work. Those are the best investors, and they will outperform every single investor out there because they will screw over people like us to take our money and get away with it. That's why I'm always saying, don't click on anything. If it's too good to be true, it actually is. I won't reach out to you, and just try to do less to make more. That's about it. So to answer your question, Rusty, what if I lose everything in a gamble on Rollbit? How can I pay taxes? You're going to have to pay. Actually, I think gambling is a little bit different because you lost the money. I guess the question would be, where'd you get the money, first of all? You bought your house, and you didn't pay the capital gains on the house, and then you went to go gamble, like my friend Bobby did over on Poly Market, and he blew it. You're on the hook. And of course, I got a lawyer for you. Just I'll tell you later. Sucks. That's a good one. Oh, Jeff says, if you live for 6 months and 1 day in Puerto Rico, you can sell your bags for 0 capital gains tax. Kinda. So the question is, when did you acquire those bags of crypto? So did you acquire them 2 years ago and you held on to them? And you're like, you know what, time to move to Puerto Rico. Move to Puerto Rico. Okay, I've been here for 6 months, I sell. They're going to say, that's great. Let me introduce you to the IRS. And you owe us capital gains tax from everything that you brought over from the United States. That's how it is. So that's why in 2021, early 2021, I moved to Puerto Rico. So I thought, well, there's this thing called a 4-year cycle, so this will happen again. And I've been living here, and it's great. So I get to live here, and I don't want to pay any capital gains tax. And that's it. Now there's some provisions, like if you make over a certain amount, you have to hire so many people. You also have to give to good charities, which I do. A couple of them called Protechos, which is a fantastic charity. They actually build roofs for people who are in low economic status. And also Amigos de los Animales, which is a place for a dog shelter. A lot of dogs run around. So you have to give to those a certain amount. And then you have to, well, there's different provisions, but move your business over here, you have to kind of jump through some more hoops. That's it. But yeah, so you can't just like take all your crypto and move here. What you got to do is like move here and then start acquiring your crypto. And that's it. But if it was that easy, I think everybody would do it. Yeah, Grant says you got to be a proven domicile for most jurisdictions. True. So Bobby buys in Puerto Rico. Have to pay attention to those videos, tuning groups. Yeah. Robbie, you still bullish on SWI? Absolutely. I think it'll do great. The question is, though, who's going to be the big winner, right? Like, there's going to come a time when all this speculation is like, this is nonsense. It's the same thing with the .com era. Do we need all those browsers? Do we need all those different search engines? Do we really need Ask Jeeves when we had Google? Or how about, I mean, Hotmail? Do we really need Hotmail when we have Gmail and everything else? That's the big winner. So we'll see if SWI has it in them. I still say that we still got one more big bull run for speculation, and that's Q4. Sounds like you have a good accent. That's it. Pease is here. Oh, Mima's here. Yeah. Further just build over 200 roofs and trade over 150 carpenters. That's the bigger thing, right? Yeah. How's your Spanish? It's awful. It's awful, but I try every day to make amends and do as best as I possibly can. Not easy, but you know what's great about Puerto Rico? Most people, like if you just try to speak Spanish, then all of a sudden everybody speaks English. It's the same thing in El Paso. If you just try to speak a little Spanish, they're like, your Spanish is so horrible. I'm just going to speak English, and my English is awful. And yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. And oh yeah. Rob, what's your favorite hip hop song? Anything from EPMD, like Crossover, stuff like that. Or you guys to chill. Let's see. Update on Near. You know, for an AI play, that thing is really doing horribly. We'll see what Ilya and that team can do. I still have a big fat bag, so fingers crossed. Let's go Q4. Bodan says, do we really need SHIB or PEEP or Pepe or Doge? No, we don't. When we have XRP, Stellar, Algo, and HBAR, that's just it. We don't need 95% of these cryptos. We just don't. The only reason they have valuations so much is because we got a bunch of suckers that buy into it. Yeah. Oh, Jim. Hey, Rob, Bad Bunny had his last concert this Saturday. I missed it. I don't go to those. I mean, if you go to like a Bad Bunny concert in Puerto Rico, just be aware. There's a lot of people. And I love that. Mohammed says, hey, Rob, how'd you get into crypto? I joined this channel not long ago. Yeah, so my son comes from home from school in 2012, and he says, hey, I got a great offer. There's a kid in school who's going to sell 500 Bitcoin for $500. And I said, in 2012, I was like, what's a Bitcoin? And you know, when you first try to explain Bitcoin, you're like, well, it's this thing, and it's decentralized, and Satoshi, and it's going to be digital money, peer-to-peer. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. No, I'm not paying $500 for nerd money. And here we are. So I heard about it in 2012, and then I heard about it again in 2017 when it was $8,000. And I was like, hey, that was a thing for $1? I should probably look into that. And I did the Stanley Druckenmiller move, which was I just bought a bunch of it, and then I did my research. I'm like, well, I got to get it now. Man, I wish I would have bought more at $8,000, but hey, here we are. Don't forget to watch Bad Bunny. Okay. Their English is so much better than my Spanish. Yes. The live is still going. Yes. I've been asking way more questions today. Okay. Bingo says, hey, Rob, you consider keeping 75% of Bitcoin and ETH? Was a bit uncertain the other day. Nope. It's I will probably keep 75 to 80% of Bitcoin, and everything else is gone. 90% to 100% altcoins, and that includes Ethereum. I will sell it all. Remember, I'm doing the Great Altcoin Handoff. I did the hard stuff. I put my bags down, say, taketh my bags, pick them up, and go hither someplace else. Yeah, so that's it. I know people say, well, why would you sell Ethereum? Because that's going to be like the next big thing, because all the institutions are buying it. Da, da, da. Nope. I don't buy it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because they're going to buy it, and it's going to be great. You're going to have some companies like BitMine and a couple other ones that are going to be like, we got it, and this is going to make sense, and we're going to hold on to it. And they're going to do it. The problem is the other ones that really don't have that conviction, that are only putting on their balance sheet because it's supposed to help bolster them and say, hey, we're an irrelevant company. We don't do anything anymore. Well, we got Ethereum, and that's essentially what the dot-com era did. The same thing. Some of those companies did absolutely nothing anymore, and they said, hey, we put .com next to our name, and you should buy our stock. And they did, and it worked for so many months, and they were gone. There was a statistic. They took a look at the Super Bowl commercials. Well, this is actually in the, is this the dot? Yeah, when the .com bubble was. Out of the 20 commercials for the internet companies, there was only 2 left the next year. So like, when I say like this time is not different, it's not different. And I still think that's what it's going to be. Now, I could be totally wrong. And like, you know, the CEO of BitMine, Tom Lee, he says, I think he said like Ethereum's going to go up to like, I don't know, 140,000 or 40,000, whatever he said. But remember, Tom Lee has never met a price prediction that's outrageously high he didn't like. For the last, I don't know how long that guy's been saying that this is going to go to this by the end of this year, and it's going to be fantastic. Go look at his history. And he's like the perma bull. And that's great. You need that because you need hopium. But I'm not going to fall for it like, okay, Ethereum's going to be the best thing of all time, and it's not going to go down. It'll go down too. That's what I think. And I'll be okay with it. That means someone else gets an opportunity to buy it. Like Ice Baby. Rob, I want this run to happen and sell my bags. I feel like I've thrown too much sand in the ocean, even if I'm up. Yeah, I know. But now we got to think of the bigger issue, which is this. Once we get it into cash, what do you do with that cash? We know that because of inflation and the purchasing power of the dollar, it keeps going down. So now we have to think about this. Once we sell off, where does that money go? Do we just going to put it in the bank and let it just melt like a big ice cube? These are the things that I think are the bigger questions coming up. And that could be, well, I've always wanted to quit my job and start a business. Well, I always wanted to get into other type of investments. Well, I wanted to get these other type of assets. Sure. I just must warn people that you can't leave it in the money forever. Although, It has worked pretty well for Warren Buffett. So, yeah. We'll see. EPMD. Yeah, great stuff. I heard Rincon is a great place to visit. It is. It's a great place. Everything's pretty great here. Oh, Bad Bunny is this Saturday. Great, Amazon Prime. I live in Puerto Rico. Sometimes in San Juan, sometimes in Guaynabo. Rob, how about you ask us a question? This way relationship is going on hand. That's pretty true. Let me ask you guys this. Out of all your altcoins, what is the percentage of altcoins you're going to sell? Are you diamond hands guy? 0%, which is fine. I'm not going to make fun of you. Is it, I'm going to sell a little bit, but wait for the next piece, 25%? Is it, I have halfway conviction, 50? Or is it like, I want to sell all this stuff like Rob, 90 to 100%? And that would be interesting to see where we're at. Good suggestion, Bodan. I really need to start doing that. No, Mary, remember, I will not dump anybody anymore. I will just hand off my bags to the next lucky individual who wants to pick them up. It's a handoff. It's not a dumping. We'll sell 90% of my alts. I wanted to buy $1,000 of Bitcoin when it was 6 cents. My mate called me an idiot. I listened to him. Rob, just don't ask any differential equation questions. Sounds good. Yeah, buy Tesla. That's a good one. Or buy a Tesla. Wow. I bought my first Bitcoin at $600. What a great deal. What a great time to be alive, huh? Then it dropped to 650. Okay, here we go. Bobby keeps sending you links to click on. It's not Bobby. It's all the other scammers. What month? And there's another one. What month are you eyeing the exits? Some people will say, well, you gotta wait till December. Actually, let's just wait for some indicators. And again, when I was talking to Matt about it, he gave me 3 solid ones, which I'll share on Saturday, which if I think we look at those, give us a pretty good push into what to look for. I remember when Wi-Fi was worth more than Bitcoin. Wow. Do you think we have a big dip in altcoins before we go much higher? There's always a dip around every corner, so why not? Rotate to Tesla. That's right. And donate some cash if you're a nonprofit. Oh, trust me. Once we get to the end of this journey that we're all on, and I talk about I'm, layering out, I will be asking everybody to donate to some of my favorite charities. That's it. That's why I'm always telling you, don't buy me like super stickers or send me anything, but I would like you to donate some charity. And it is a tax deduction, so just saying. Crypto needs an enema. What's the contact address? Enema coin? I'd buy that. Hey, Rob. Let's sign him up. It's funny. Tesla, keep buying Bitcoin. Right to MicroStrategy. Thanks, man. Do you trade perps? I don't. Maybe I'll get into that later. That just sounds like a lot of work. 30 profits into gold. That's a good one. 30 profits into gold for 2026, 2027. It's time to buy crypto again. I have some gold and silver. I just need to buy a little more. Rebecca says, can we just keep the USD on Tangem? Need a debit card. Yeah, you know what? This is true. If you sell your whatever asset that you have, you can put it in the stable coins and leave that on Tangem. And of course, the stable coins, it could be USDC or Tether, which is the ones that I'll probably be using. And those could be on Ethereum or Tron or Solana or BSC or whatever. And now actually Hyperliquid. So yeah, you could do something like that. I would just pick those. I would pick the stable coin that has been around the longest and is the most battle tested. And for me, that's Tether and or USDC, although Tether's been around a lot longer. Although Tether and how the audits go, something. USDC at least is American based, but that's not saying much anymore. Damn, 75%. Okay. Bingo's at 100 of what he's going to sell. Frosty is 100. Huh. Huh. I guess my XRP Whale friend here is right. I think everybody's sick of it. Dump. Oh, that's a good one. Throw down 100% plus tax. Ninja says, your buddy Jerry Hall said a couple weeks ago he felt 8 had a great chance of doubling the cycle. Yeah, he's right. It could definitely double. It just takes a lot of inflow to double. And for Aether to double, Aether doubled in 7 days. And because again, it doesn't take much to move it, it's a sub-billion-dollar altcoin. There we go. Meme's going to try really hard to sell 100%. That's what I would do. Warren, Bitcoin is rat poison squared. He doesn't always get it right. He got it wrong on Google, he got it wrong on Apple, but he came around. But on Bitcoin, he won't. Litecoin's not getting attention. It's true, it's not. The last big attention it got was when Litecoin Foundation and Ben got into a back and forth on X. It was pretty funny. I'm going to dump on Rob. Correction, Seth, you're going to do the great handoff to Rob as you lay down your bags and Rob picks them up. Yes. Ah, that's what it's called. So the Roth IRA is like an RRSP in Canada, except we have to invest in securities. Oh, that sucks. We have to invest in securities only. Huh. I wonder if iTRUST. So Tommy, there's a, yeah, this might be different. I got to do a research on that. If you're looking for like, well, it's probably an RRSP then. I can't tell you which way to go as far as Canadians. I think it's only American based. Let's see. Denny says, all these data centers running AM machinery 100% of their own power. Energy will be a good, that's true. Energy will be a good player for this run. Some of these centers run on shale gas, nuclear, etc. I can see it. Cran is going April as due as May. I'm sure Cran doesn't feel great about that. Everybody loves radium. Frosty says sell it all on February 31st. GTFO by October. I can see that. Yeah. How are we looking swole today? Ah, look in the face. It was too much work. But thanks. Donate to animal charities. Hello, ship loaders, ship leaders. Hit the like. We can donate likes. Yeah, let's just do that. Wow. And I'm just going to say like this. Future Profit says I'm only holding 20% of what I was 6 months ago. I think that's a good lesson for everybody. Which is, you know what? At some point, we're going to have to sell and hand off these bags to somebody who really needs a bag. And that's what we should do. That's it for tonight. So look, it's been an hour. Thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate you guys immensely. So that's it for today. Tomorrow, we're doing NFA Live. Ben is out of commission for a bit, or he's traveling or something. So tomorrow will be on Guy's channel over at Coin Bureau. So it'll be me, Guy, and Nick talking about some interesting topics, sell-offs, and type stuff like that. But that's it for tonight. Thanks so much, everybody. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one. Adios.